This is the Games Junk Podcast, episode 95. I'm Jason Ariel, and joining me today is John Lucero.
Hello.
And Connor Mahood.
Hello.
Connor, that
okay,
was...
cut. We gotta start over.
Yeah, we're starting over. I don't know what the hell happened there. Connor, we were having some volume issues with your microphone before. Now, I don't know what that was, but you sounded very twee there, my friend.
I think that's I've been doing that since I was a teenager. I think it's how Walter Matthau answers the phone sometimes in The Odd Couple,
or just in real life.
Deep cut.
Yeah, also in real life. He also answers the phone with "Divorce Broken Sloppy," which I really like.
Oh, God.
Starting out with the hot Odd Couple references that people are looking for in the year of our Lord 2018.
That's all right.
What'd you come here for, kids?
Anyway, so we have been playing some stuff this week. Connor, you've got the most out of us, so why don't you regale us with, let's start with Watch Dogs 2?
Yeah, there's a Ubisoft sale on at the moment. And
I feel like
there's also like a
one.
thing where you can trade Ubisoft points, whatever. So basically I got Watch Dogs 2 absurdly cheap.
Okay.
And I've been replaying it, and there's a huge amount that I like about that game. Also, having played a lot, I've been playing a lot of games lately. I've been getting intermittent kind of like violence fatigue with games.
Sure.
And I kind of like Watch Dogs 2 for its non-lethal option. I wish that they actually leaned into it more and it was like a non-lethal only game. I think that would be amazing because it would fit the tone more. But it is really nice. It's a really nice thing to have the option of.
So, like, what are the non-lethal options in that game? I know you can like stun people, I think, right? And with
Yeah.
your little drone, little buddy.
Yeah, like this is my replay of it. So they've beefed up those options a bit, actually. So there's like a shotgun that fires compressed air or something. I don't think they're worried about being too realistic. There's like a stun sniper rifle. There's like
Sure.
a pretty standard like stun pistol.
Okay.
And then there's like stun grenades, and eventually you can, you can drop stun grenades from your drone and stuff. Also, you can hack the environment. So a lot of like power boxes and stuff like that, you can hack them to attract people, and when they get close, it lets off like an explosion that stuns and stuff. There's a lot of like lethal explosions. And stuff as well. You know those stunning explosions that. Oh, in hospital, people brought into hospital all the time. But the great news is they're brought straight back out because they're fine.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah.
So when the game, you say it makes you kill people at certain points, like
No, it doesn't. You can play the whole game through non-lethal, but it's pretty easy to slip and kill someone. Because,
Okay.
Honestly, that's realistic. That's just life.
Sorry.
Honestly.
I stopped talking about Watch Dogs for a second there. But anyway.
Connor will edit that
we
part
can
out
edit
to
that.
save any issues
Yeah.
we have there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can accidentally kill people pretty easily because, like, initially I was rusty, I hadn't played in a while, and I was like hacking different things, and some of the explosions are like fire, and some of them are just like, oh, it just it set off like a little bit of like Tesla energy flying around. So you can kind of slip up, but it's of all games I've played, it's one of the most kind of friendly to that kind of attitude. Okay, I actually wanted to ask you guys a question about this. I don't know what your opinion is because I'm not sure if my thinking is clear on this, but I would like if the non-lethal option in games wasn't a massive pain because, usually it's like, oh, it knocks them out for 30 seconds or whatever. If you shoot them, it kills them for, ages, basically, a really long time.
They're dead. So
yeah, that's right. So whatever amount of time that is. And then, so when you do the non-lethal option, you're like clearing out a base. And by the time you're finished getting the objective or whatever, they're all starting to wake up again and you're like trying to knock them all out again and stuff. Do you feel that it should be harder to do the non-lethal option in games? Or do you feel that they shouldn't be like punishing you for trying to do the right thing? Or are they just trying to say, look, if you want to do the right thing, it's a little bit harder? I don't know. What do you think?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
See, okay, my thing is I don't mind the non-lethal option being a little bit more tricky. It's that you can still be non-lethal and kind of go like Rambo in that sense, I suppose. That is where I think is I don't know, where I run into an issue with this stuff because it's like I guess if you're trying to be stealthy, it should take more work, but you can still just go around and like just like in Metal Gear, like you can like hit everybody in the damn head with a tranquilizer dart and just take them out immediately and they just drop, but you're still going in there and being loud effectively, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's ever been enough reward or difference between the two. Like you can still go in there and be completely stealthy, not make a sound and kill everybody. It's just a matter of convenience for hiding the body or the, sleeping body or first dead body. So
right.
And I don't know, like I think John, you might remind me on this. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 did it pretty well, where I don't think there was really much difference in the way it felt. Like when you got spotted, yeah, it does go to shit like every other Metal Gear game does, but I think you have a little bit more variety of options when it comes to staying non-lethal if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's pretty forgiving non-lethally. I honestly played most of that game non-lethal. I used the Trent gun mostly. And just research-wise, I think you get the Riot SMG pretty early on, and that's like the first like automatic stun weapon you get, and it's pretty effective. I mean, you get a headshot with it and knocks them out. I feel like non-lethal should be harder.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to pull a trigger than it's to, and you have to get specialized weapons to do that if you want to have like the same kind of arsenal as you would with a regular set of guns. I think it like if you want to talk about the moral reason for it too, I think that it also makes sense for it being harder because, like I said, it's easier to kill someone than it is to, knock them out and then have to worry about them getting up later. It's weird in video games too, because it's got to be fun still. Mm-hmm. So it's just a hard balance to get, and games are getting better about it because technology is getting better, so they can do more interesting things than just shooting. But yeah, it's just a tough question. I appreciate having both, and I think that the game should allow you to do everything using both. But I don't know if I think one should be easier than the other. I think.
See, the way I've always kind of treated Metal Gear, especially like Metal Gear Solid 5, like I think of the stealth non-lethal way as like the expert mode, basically. Even if you don't really do it stealth, like having to kind of consider that these guys could come by and wake up somebody in the middle of a firefight or whatever if they see them sleeping, whereas if they're dead, they can't. You take them out of the equation. Doing the non-lethal option does kind of do it that way. So like I don't mind playing through the game like lethally just to kind of learn patterns and placement, and then come back and just go do it stealthily, basically, and
it's interesting.
Non-lethally. So I kind of think of it as like an extra way of playing the game if you want to look at it that way.
And not to stay with the Phantom Pain for every example, but that game also kind of incentivizes non-lethal because it's easier to get more people for your base that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, Phantom Pain's probably the pinnacle of that genre, I would say. So. Easy to. In terms of just like as the example.
In terms of stealth gameplay, it's not. You don't get much better than Phantom Pain.
Yeah. In terms of character control, like the sense that you have some control over the physical body of this character, Phantom Pain is unbelievable, I think.
Oh yeah, and also the fact that you run faster than a truck, it's really good too.
Yeah. I really enjoy that. Yeah.
Just sprinting across the Afghan wilderness.
Am I remembering correctly, or is this a video somebody made up that when you do a knockout punch when you're sprinting, it does that like that $1 million man sound?
Yeah.
Okay.
The bicentennial man, or not the million? Yeah,
$6 million man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
That one. That's
not Robert Williams.
What I'm looking for. Yeah. If you get, and then it also has the rocket fist. I don't know if you ever used that.
Yeah.
But,
you better believe it did.
Yeah, totally does an anime thing of rocket punch.
Yeah.
Or
the Jehudi one that lets you. That one had could pick up people with it, I think.
Yeah. The only problem I ran into with that was that a lot of the great arm upgrades came just as I was kind of getting to be done with the game.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of the
so
good
long to open them
upgrades
up.
require you to like play after finishing the story, and the story's
Yeah.
pretty long. Like the wormhole grenades, I didn't get till after I beat the main story, or not the wormhole Fultons.
Yeah.
They're really
Yeah.
good.
Me too, actually.
I got them before I finished. I may have spent a little too much time wandering around though. So
I mean, I know you specifically played a lot of that game before you ever finish it. I think I played it at a pretty normal clip.
Yeah.
I come to Metal Gear for the Metal Gear, and I wanted to see the Metal Gear.
I was
the Metal Gear stuff.
I was out with I think it was when I was out with my hip surgery still. So I put a lot of time into that game because I could. So
I think there's a writing on the site specifying how much time you put into that game.
Yeah, I think it was like close to 200 hours if I'm remembering right. So
that is good work.
I put the work. I put in the legwork that game. So
really good game. I actually spent a little bit last year cleaning up trophies in that game for a bit. I talked on a podcast at one point about it. So that game is a good example of how to do non-lethal. Watch Dogs 2, on the other hand, also a good example.
It's Watch Dogs 2 isn't anywhere near the classic that Phantom Pain is.
Flawed classic, but yes, the classic.
Yeah, it is. But it is a classic.
It's very good.
But yeah, I wish more people were playing Watch Dogs 2. Specifically, I wish more people were playing Watch Dogs 2 so that I could play co-op with people, actually.
I've thought about playing it. I didn't really like the first one at all. I think they went in a direction with this one that I appreciate more. But I still wasn't sure with the characters in the game, if I would enjoy that aspect of it.
That seemed to be divisive. I did. I liked the characters. I thought they were cute. I read a lot of reviews where reviewers were, I don't know, using their Watch Dogs 2 as a platform from which to declare that they actually understand how real hacking works way better than the people who wrote Watch Dogs 2. I'm like, dude, I don't give a fuck about how much you know about hacking, you know? As a thing, like the movie Hackers-esque, it's quite fun and kind of cute. And there are like a bunch of characters that like each other, and they're sort of friends, which is nice. It's nice to see a little bit of warmth in a video game.
And that's why I actually like Assassin's Creed Origins so much.
Origins is actually really good. It is really good. I got frustrated with the combat, but I really like it.
Yeah. See, that's what's keeping me away from that game, is that combat doesn't look fun to me. And that seems like a big part of the game.
Okay, well, look, can I say one more Watch Dogs 2 thing and then talk about that? Okay. The last thing in Watch Dogs 2 is I feel like it's a bit of an Assassin's Creed 2 leap. It's not quite on that level, because I think Assassin's Creed 2 is like the best Assassin's Creed game, and it's amazing. But it is a huge leap in quality and also a massive change in tone. Like the first one's really dour, and the second one is kind of a playground, and it's much more. I think the non-lethal option was a big part of that, actually, because the first one you're just a killing machine, and in the second one it's a lot more kind of mischievous and stuff. But anyway, on to Assassin's Creed Origins. That game is great in a lot of ways, but the combat I think it's more influenced by like Dark Souls type combat.
Yeah.
It looks like
whereas the Assassin's Creed games were always like that. You play an assassin who is so deadly that if you're surrounded, people just have to come towards you swinging a sword, and it's already over.
And you just counter them, and you murder them. Let's see, like, I like the Assassin's Creed combat. That's also divisive. I know there's plenty of people out there that think it's kind of boring.
I always liked it.
Oh yeah, I like it. I like how brutal it is.
Yeah, if anything else, it's unique. I mean, nothing really feels so good as just parrying. Like I think there's an achievement in the first one where you like just parry killed like 10 enemies in a row, and man, I had a hell of a time getting that one, but I ended up getting it eventually.
That's a good feeling.
Yeah, and then they added the kill chain thing. I think that, I don't know if that was 2 or Brotherhood, but they added that, and that like made it even better, because you could just move from person to person, murdering everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a joy. It is. It's actually really good.
There's so like few examples that I honestly I can't even think of another example that really plays like Assassin's Creed, and that's kind of the main draw for me for a while, was just the combat. It was completely unique. There was nothing that really made you feel that way, and then Origins took that out, which I wasn't thrilled with, but they added in, I feel like some interesting characters for a change.
Yeah.
The side quests were actually kind of meaningful, I guess, in a sense. And oh man, just the way they just made Egypt in there. Just I loved that. The scenery in that game was just something I could chew on forever.
Have you played the tourist mode yet?
No,
I haven't.
No, I really need to pop that back in my Xbox. There's a
there's
like a 40 something gig update, I think, to that I'm waiting on. That I'm like, maybe I'll hold off for now. That's a hell of a download.
Yeah, I really love the characters actually in Origins. They're wonderful, and I think I like the way the side quests, like some of them are you're just sort of helping out because that's sort of his job. Right, as a Magi, he's not just like a super cop. He's like a peacekeeper, and he's kind of a people's representative. So he just sort of helps out with stuff. He helps out with contaminated water and all kinds of things, and that's really cool. Actually, I really like that.
Yeah, one of my favorite like side missions. Kind of don't know how far if you got to this one, but basically you just do the leap of faith thing from a bunch of things for a boy in his gang. And
that's cool.
I enjoyed the hell out of that one because at the very end, during this thing, this boy is asking you about your son, and Bayek talks about him without really letting on that he's dead, and then the boy says, maybe I forget the exact wording, but it's effectively like maybe you and your boy can go do this or something, and then Bayek, the voice actor just completely sold it, just like saying it very like remorsely, but at the same time, without really letting on to somebody who wouldn't know that his son is dead, but just like it's like, yeah, me too.
Oh, my heart.
I think that was I think that was the moment when I got to that. I was like, this combat or not, it might be my favorite Assassin's Creed game just based on that.
That's cool.
It finally sold me on. And like I said, the ending we've talked about on the podcast, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody else again. So the ending, I kind of felt like it kind of flubbed a little bit, but there have been so few video games that have stuck the landing. There are so few anything that really stuck the landing.
We could probably name the video games that have stuck the landing, which is saying something.
Assassin's Creed games always have terrible endings anyway.
I'm trying to think. I think twos is nuts. The twos changes everything. It's when the alien Juno turns to the screen and starts talking to you.
Oh God, I think that most of the endings. Yeah, I think most of the endings of Assassin's Creed games are basically like that really long scene in the second Matrix movie where Neo talks to the architect.
Oh yeah, it's definitely like they've definitely played the Matrix when they made when they watched the Matrix when they made Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, but it's that feeling of like you're sort of held captive by an aggressively boring explanation of something you don't care about.
Yeah, and then you just want to jump on rooftops in Italy.
Yeah. But, John? What's your favorite Assassin's Creed?
Black Flag. With my second favorite being either 2 or Brotherhood. Probably 2.
2
I also love Syndicate. That'd probably be next up after those. But Black Flag definitely my favorite, even though it's kind of the least Assassin's Creedy of them all.
I read a review a while ago of I don't even know which Assassin's Creed game, but they were saying it might have been Black Flag actually, but they were saying like, can you imagine if Ubisoft just said we're just going to make adventure games set in different times, and it didn't have to be about Assassin's Creed? And it's like, holy shit, that would be brilliant.
God, it'd be so much better.
Because like Black Flag doesn't really need all the assassin stuff at all.
No,
it's just a great pirate game.
Just give you the parkour shit and make it a pirate game.
Didn't they put Rogue out the same year as Black Flag?
The same. Yeah. Oh wait, no. Rogue actually.
Same year as Unity.
Oh, yeah. Rogue and Unity both came out on the same day. Which is why I never heard of Rogue, because all I heard was people were giving out about how terrible Unity was, and nobody even mentioned Rogue.
All I ever heard is Rogue is better than Unity. I've never played Rogue, but
yeah.
I kind of wanted to because of the ship stuff, but the setting was, I think, the same. I think it was more of the America stuff.
It's set like in the Hudson Bay and stuff, I think, a lot. It features a Canadian voice actor doing 75 different Irish accents, all for the same character.
I saw you talking about that.
Yeah. It's rough. I watched some clips.
Yeah, I do. I just wish they would they'd get away from the present day storyline. I don't know why they have it in there still at this point.
It's so baked in at this point. Yeah, it's just like, why? I mean, that was, I definitely, to the point, like, I even completely forgot that they existed in Origins. Like, they're there, and it's just like, okay, well, let's just move on past this.
They hid that completely for the first one, didn't they? Like, that was not known before the game came out.
They did a very good job of hiding that. Like, I remember
that was like some Metal Gear Solid 2 levels of surprise. It's like that. It's a hell of a twist when you get this whole, like, you're trying to build this period piece Assassin's game, and then it turns out it's a simulation in the present day.
And what's funny is, like, you think about, like, the Metal Gear Solid 2 thing, like in Japan, it was just known that that's what was going on. Like, it was in trailers, it was on the box art, and somehow it got kept under wraps for the West. I don't know how that happened. I mean, I guess it was like pre ease of access on your phone, internet days, so maybe that's why. But it's just like, I was completely surprised when I did that, and like now it's just like it's impossible to surprise you with anything. So that may have been like the last big, like, oh shit, what the hell? Sort of thing in video games in modern day of, like, what's going on here?
I'm trying to think of anything else that's been like that surprising, and I don't know. It's like
I was pretty surprised in Far Cry 5 when Ubisoft abandoned every scrap of courage and the bad guys weren't neo-Nazis after all. That was a surprise because they really set that up of, like,
Connor.
They really set that up of,
You were surprised?
I was though.
I'm surprised you're surprised, honestly.
I wasn't surprised. I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I talked about that last week quite a bit.
Yeah,
but yes, we can talk. You can talk about this game. We can regale each other with tales of Far Cry 5 if you want to. I'm not against it.
No, it's okay. Like, I really enjoyed parts of it because
I had a good time in the open world.
Yeah, there's lots of great gameplay stuff. But actually, it was Far Cry 5 that led to the beginning of my recent video game violence fatigue, because it's weird, the mixture of, like, slapstick moments and just killing hundreds of people.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's tonally, that game is all over the place.
It's a mess, yeah. But actually, just after that, I played Oxenfree because I was like, okay, I don't want to kill anything in a game for a while. And I played Oxenfree, and I really recommend Oxenfree. It's a lovely game. It almost scratched some of the itch of, like, Gone Home.
I like Gone Home. I don't think Jason does, but I do.
I think it's okay. I'm not that big of a fan of it, honestly. But
yeah.
Did you play Night in the Woods, Connor?
No, actually, I must give that a try. I've heard great things.
I adore that game. You should. If that's the kind of thing you're looking for right now, that's a very good one of those.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it made my list. I think it was number 2 on my list last year, if I'm remembering correctly. It's a very good game.
Yeah.
It's anything else like non-violent? It's hard to find things that aren't violent in video games, it turns out.
Okay. So we were talking about tonally, Far Cry 5 being all over the place. Another game that is kind of all over the place as far as tone goes, but I don't want to say I think it weaves back and forth very well, is Yakuza 6. Connor, have you actually played any of these games before?
You know, it's crazy. I haven't, and I'm dying to, but it's one of those, like, it's not lack of interest. I don't know why.
I think you would enjoy these because there's a good combat system, especially in 6. They in 0 they had like 3 different styles you could switch between, and I eventually just kind of settled on one and just put all my upgrade points into that because I just didn't feel the need to ever really switch over. This one, you just have one, and I think it fits, like, overall with the game itself because it's Kiryu at the, like, end of his, not life, but end of his we'll say tale. And I think of it as, like, okay, he's taken everything he's learned over the course of, however many years all these games took place. I think it's like 30 years or so. And he's just combined everything style-wise into one style that just works better that way. So I think
that's appealing.
I think it kind of fits that way. But there's a bunch of side missions that, yes, some of them you end up having to there's no combat involved whatsoever. One of my favorite ones and granted, I've only played about maybe 5-6 hours of it right now, but one of my favorite ones so far is you are tracking down a piece of merchandise for a little girl, and no combat whatsoever in there. Just Kiryu kind of like running around trying to figure it out and find stuff, and you I don't know. It's just really kind of, I don't know. It's just such a nice change of pace of not having to beat the shit out of somebody being the answer, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but then there's the ridiculous combat things of beating somebody, I'm supposed to death with a traffic cone.
Okay.
It's kind of funny.
Labor intensive.
It's very over the top.
Yeah. Also, I saved the clip and I want to upload it. I just haven't had a chance to clip it down. But, it's sort of I don't know, one of the odd things with the Yakuza series is it makes such a big deal out of murder. But one of the things within the first hour of wandering around the main city that I did in combat was I grabbed a knife from somebody and did a heat move, which is basically your meter going up. So you do a crazy move, and Kiryu jabs it into the guy's stomach and then punches the knife further into his stomach.
Oh,
I was like,
have you seen The Raid? It's basically The Raid.
I'm like,
okay,
dude, you just murdered that guy. And like I said, and murder in this game is made a very big deal of. It's normally fighting, but like I said, Kiryu clearly kills people when he's fighting because I literally crack somebody over the head with a sledgehammer with the heat move. And
he does wrestling moves to people that would kill someone like actual brain busters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spinal cord snapping things. But like I said, I think just tonally it does a good job of separating itself out from that, and then the moments where it actually delves into the real story, it's actually a very well written, well acted narrative. I'm really enjoying it, and this is something like I said, we were talking about Far Cry 5, and I just tonally just with that game, I was just I have no interest. You can't make up your mind what you're trying to be. And Yakuza doesn't lean too heavy on one and doesn't lean too heavy on the other, and I think it just kind of weaves back and forth just expertly. So,
yeah, I'm so conflicted on Yakuza games. I liked Zero a lot when I first played it, and I think the problems I have with it just stay there, and they're very long games, and the combat, you get stuck in animations a lot, and I hate that. I want it to flow better, and it just doesn't. It's more of a brawl. It's more of a brawler than a action game. And then the story, which is it's written very well. They, from what I've seen of Yakuza games, I've only played Zero and seen parts of other ones. It's written very well. I think it gets a little twisty and a little windy and goes on for too long. I guess the very long games it kind of has the GTA effect of the story just takes forever. Or Rockstar games, the stories are very long and it kind of loses. It feels like it kind of loses its way a few times. Also, a lot of fake out deaths in Zero. Nonstop fake out deaths, which kind of takes a lot of drama out of scenes when you're like, this person's probably not actually dead, and they aren't.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty common in Japanese media, though.
Yeah. No, it is, and it's always bugged me in anime too. Just the amount. I don't mind fake out deaths. I mind a reliance on them constantly, but what Yakuza does do really well is it's just a really. Kiryu's a very nice person. Mm-hmm. If you just want to play as a pleasant character, Kiryu is just a very pleasant character. He's just a good dude, and he just helps people. He's quiet. He kicks ass. He's quiet and he helps people.
Yeah. He's called the Dragon of Dojima, I think is. Yeah. And he's just recognized as one of the most badass Yakuzas that exists. And like I said, you're literally doing these silly little side missions that it's you would think a guy like this would have no interest in doing. And he also runs an orphanage. And not as a some sort of an operational front for the Yakuza. He does it because he wants to take care of kids because he was an orphan. And I don't know, like I said, just it's not all over the place, but it does such a good job of making Kiryu as just this really great character of he is a badass and he is not to be trifled with, but he also just has this sweet soft center to him. And I think it just does a great job of selling him as just he could kill you 30 different ways from Sunday, but as long as you don't cross him, he's just a good guy. He might be intimidating looking as all hell, but yeah.
Yeah, this is the close to his story, right? This is like the end of the Kiryu story in Yakuza games.
Yeah. This is supposed to be the end of his. So.
I've heard it. It's pretty good story wise. It's like a good send off to the character, which is he deserves that.
Yeah.
Like I said, like we just said, he's.
This is his 8th game he's been in now, so yeah.
Yeah, and he had to fight zombies in one game. So, so.
Yeah, some oddball Gaiden game. I don't know really what that was about, but and the other thing is too, with Kiryu, like, to atone for being in the Yakuza and trying to, he even puts it, I believe, as washing the stench of it off of him. He goes to jail voluntarily for 3 years.
Oh wow,
that's the first game, isn't it?
No, that's the opening of this one, basically.
Oh, he goes to prison at the beginning of the first game.
Well, he does that as sort of being the pratfall for somebody. So
yeah.
But this he sort of does it to atone for the sins of the past, basically, and to kind of clear Haruka, his adopted daughter's name, because she's an idol, and she gets tired of hiding the fact that Kiryu is like basically is. Or her uncle, I guess is I think the way they word it, but he and she basically comes out in concert and says that the person that raised her father figure is a former Yakuza, and she retires, tries to take care of the orphanage and run it on her own, and Kiryu, just to like sort of like atone for everything he's done, he just voluntarily like ends up going to jail and just to clean off everything. I'm like, man, that's a hell of a thing to do. For 3 years of your life, you're willing to go away and just be out of the life and be out of like the people that you've developed a relationship with, and just to atone for some sins, just deliberately. It's like, man, that's, like I said, he, like John said, he's just a good dude, and it's a really nice change of pace from a lot of video games where, like I said, Far Cry 5, it's just kind of like, oh, hey, I'm just this cipher that doesn't really have a personality, but I'm supposed to have some sort of, I'm supposed to feel like I have some sort of weight to any of this. So
yeah, that was such a bad decision, making him a silent character. God damn it!
And you can, it's so weird because you can
him or her. Sorry,
you can customize the character, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I'm gonna have some sort of control here. Oh no!
It doesn't matter.
It's all bullshit. It's all bliss. It's all drugs.
Yeah.
It's all simulation. Time's a construct.
I heard in the podcast there's an uncomfortable scene where they chain you to a bed, and playing that as a female character might be a little weird.
Do they chain you to a bed?
Oh, I don't remember that.
Or chain you down or something, or tie you.
No, you get tied down constantly in that game. You're taken hostage at least 15 times.
You mean like one of the endings or something like that? I don't remember, but like you're being tortured.
Oh, that's right. Actually, yeah, one of the endings.
Yeah, I
so
heard
you don't get. It's not like tied to a bed, but you are. I mean, the endings of that game are
terrible,
like a stinking cherry on top of that fucked up cake. Yeah. But the kidnappings are unbelievable. Like, it's like 3 per boss, right?
At least I think there's some that do 4. I think one of them might do 4, but yeah, there's at least 3 in each region. I think there's 1 or 2 other ones besides that aren't part of the regions. And it's just them talking at you for fucking 10 minutes, and you can't say, and your character doesn't say anything because it's a silent character, which just makes it even worse to this person, because it's not, you didn't make this character as actually a character, but so they just don't care about anything, and they have no reaction to anything in the game, and so how it comes across. Yeah,
and it's the classic like stupid moralizing of video games where it's like, but are we the bad guys or are you the player the bad guy?
Who's
fuck off?
Who's really the monster?
Yeah,
it's you, white supremacist, even though they aren't white supremacists.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So okay, what else are you guys playing this week?
Yeah.
I'm kind of done with my thoughts on Yakuza. As like I said, I've only played like maybe 6 hours of it, but
I'm in. It does sound like I would really, really enjoy it. Actually,
every time I play it, like I keep thinking, like I think Connor would dig this because it's got all that stuff I think you like in Ubisoft games, but it also is, like I said, it gives you that. It doesn't constantly just like the solution to everything is kill it. So
yeah, I feel like I'll win out at times because I don't love Yakuza. Like I feel like everyone else that I talk to loves Yakuza because that game has a lot of fucking charm. I guess I wish I liked it more than I did. I don't think it's a bad game whatsoever. It's any of them. Well, I've heard 3's bad.
Now the first one hasn't done so well age-wise. The original.
They re-released it though, so I guess you can kind of
yeah. I mean, and honestly, like the story, like I've only played well, I wouldn't say a little. I mean, I probably played like 20 something, 30 hours of Yakuza 0, but you can come into 6 like fresh. They give you enough of a sense of like what's going on that you don't.
You can read the backstory for every game before you, and it's like in the menu. You can read the backstory of every game before you play. So.
How is 0?
It's also where if you want to start with 0, that's a good one to start with too.
It's the thing it's stupid and silly, but this takes place during the Japanese bubble economy era, and literally like everything involves money. Like you beat up people and they just explode money. Your leveling system is just money. It's ridiculous, but it does a very like cool job of like capturing the feel of the 80s. And now I can't really speak for Japan in the 80s, but just based on what I know, like culturally and like car wise, like it feels like it would be very, very fitting in there. There's also a bunch of like side stuff you can do that have no purpose whatsoever of being in there. But I mean, you can play like Space Harrier in the arcades.
Yeah,
I really enjoy the little like Sega love that they throw in there. There's even I think it's an in-game achievement. I don't think it's actually a trophy on the PlayStation side, but there's a thing of like beating up people with the last name Sega. And there's just these rare spawns in like groups of thugs that you don't really know that they're there until you start fighting them, and you're like, oh, this guy's a little bit stronger. So it's like, yeah, it's just a slight clue that they're there. So, and then you can also disengage from the combat easily enough if you don't feel like doing it. Like you can, the random thugs that are walking around, you can avoid them. You can just run from the combat
nice.
Before it starts, basically. So it's kind of like, it's not really
which a big deal. You'll end up doing because there's a lot of combat in that game.
Yeah. But those fights are so quick and breezy. Like, honestly, like you could be done with most of them in like 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah. Also, the 0 you play as 2 characters in 0, and Majima, the other character, might have one of the best introductions of any character in a video game.
Oh yeah.
It's something else.
Yeah.
It's
and he becomes a very not big character, but he's sort of a mainstay in the series, and he's seen him go from what he is in there or in 0 to what he becomes like later down in the road. It's like, oh man, that's a bit of a
I know there's a lot of value in playing the other ones before you play 0, but you don't have to. It doesn't. Yeah.
If 0 is your first, you're fine. If Kiwami is your first, you're fine. And because this is the end of the story, and they've done a very good job of giving you what you need to know without giving you reams and reams and reams of information to read. 6 does a very good job of like, if this is your first Yakuza game, welcome to it.
Cool. Nice.
I think there's even a bundle going on right now where if you buy 6, I think you can get I think you get 0 for like $20 or something like that. So
it's nice action.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that'll wrap up the Yakuza thing. But yeah, Connor, I think you should totally give that series a shot. It seems like it'd be up your alley there. So, Connor, was there something else you were wanting to talk about game wise? I'm trying to remember.
No, I think that's it. Oh well, so I just replayed Sleeping Dogs just recently.
That's right.
And, I kind of feel like that game should be better appreciated than it is.
I've never played Sleeping Dogs, and I'm kind of ashamed of that because I know I'd like it.
It's it plays well now, in my opinion. Like I played it for the first time in a couple of years, and I'd never played it on PC. I always played it on PS4, or I think I originally played it on a 360 or something.
Yeah, it got released on the next gen, but
it plays great on PC. And it does a really good job with music and stuff where they don't have a huge budget, but they have a lot of like really good music. Like Ubisoft have a huge amount of money, and Watch Dogs 2 has terrible, mostly awful music. And I think that's really embarrassing because they can't say that they didn't have the budget or whatever, the amount of money they have. They could have licensed some stuff.
Yeah, I thought Far Cry 5 had a pretty good licensed soundtrack.
There's some okay stuff in there. Yeah. But yeah, like Sleeping Dogs, I love it. I love the combat in it. George St. Pierre, the MMA champ, consulted on the combat.
Okay.
And I don't know how meaty a role he had, but it's really good. It's very similar to the Batman games with that kind of beat 'em up stuff.
Okay.
And it's really effective, and the fights they're actually really fun.
Yeah, I know I'd like Sleeping Dogs.
That's one of those games, like, I think I've had it on my PlayStation Plus thing forever. And I think I even have it on, I think it even was like games with gold on the Xbox. So I think I own it on both current gen platforms. And it's like, I would like to get around to it, but it's kind of one of those of, like, I know it's an undertaking to get into it. And I'm having a harder and harder time getting into a longer game that's a little older. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of the same spot.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it's aged pretty well, partly because I think the mechanics are very solid, but also it's a lovely, like, the way it's stylized is really nice, and I like the fact that it's set in Hong Kong. That's different.
Yeah.
Driving around Hong Kong, kind of late at night, getting into adventures and fighting with triads. It's kind of cool. I've never played that in a game before. It does kind of feel like you're in like a heroic bloodshed John Woo type movies, and that's really nice.
Did you play Stranglehold?
I really liked Stranglehold, actually. Yeah.
You slid through all those watermelons.
Yeah, I was
a lot of watermelons.
If there was anything to slide on, I was those drinks trolleys, man.
Yeah.
I would ride a drinks trolley all over the level if I could. Yeah.
Slow motion shoot a guy in the dick.
Yeah. Many times as I can. Stranglehold is great. I really enjoy it. But I feel like I want more people to play Sleeping Dogs. I wish they had like made more of that kind of stuff. It's a shame that they sort of, abandoned the sequel they were planning and all that kind of stuff.
I think it was sales that hindered that prospect.
I believe
don't
so.
believe
Yeah,
it sold very well.
No, I don't think it
unfortunate. Did. It's also like its lineage is the true crime games, right?
Yeah.
From like PS2. Yeah. Those are very
it was
good.
in development as a true crime game, I think, at one point, or in like whatever, maybe pre-production.
I think it was
as
like
a true crime.
Streets of Hong Kong, something like that. I feel like it was. I forget what it was actually called. I do remember it was actually a true crime game, but
it's 100 times better than the true crime games.
That's not hard to do. That's yeah. But I do want to play it. I'll probably do. I got to get to it sooner rather than later because it's going to keep aging, and I don't.
And for me, it's not even a prospect of it aging. It's just a matter of trying to fit in some other, I guess, retro stuff that's a little bit shorter to write about, plus try to keep up with contemporary stuff. It's just sort of in that middle ground of right now of just like, well, it's a little too new to like really sink my teeth into for like a retro look back, and it's too old to look in as a new release. So
shame.
It's no Ninja 5.0, that's for sure.
I hear good things.
I just finished it last night, and goddamn, that game is marvelous. But
yeah, Jason found an old GBA game. He's gonna have more on the side about eventually, I believe.
Yeah. He said I finished it last night, and that's the game I'm looking back at that came out I think 15 years ago now, and ooh man, that was God, that game. That needs to be on a virtual console or something because that game is fucking good.
Yeah.
Think Bionic Commando and Shinobi. That's the best way I can describe it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It feels good. I mean, just
he told me that, and I was like, oh.
emulate the shit out of that game. Yeah. It feels good. So I kind of regret because I played it on easy initially and then went through the normal mode, but there's unfortunately like it doesn't like unlock the stages for. You basically have to replay it on normal. So I would say maybe play the first stage on easy just to get the hang of it, and then go and just skip everything and go back to normal, or go to normal after that, because I'm kind of like on replaying the first three missions, but at the same time like going back with a mastery of the mechanics now, it's like, oh man, I'm way better at this game than I was the first to go through this. So it's like I'm finding myself safe scumming quite a bit less. So
that can be satisfying as well.
It's there's a really good feeling of like setting up your grappling hook, flipping around a ledge, and just cutting somebody down with your sword as before you even touch the ground, as you're kind of like circling back around. It's a great feeling. That game just feels good, and it is astounding that that thing came out on the Game Boy Advance. I'm like, what? I don't know. And it just, the fact that, like, it seems like no one talks about it, like, unless, like, you've listened to, like, Retronauts for, the 11 years it's been on. Like, I feel like nobody talks about that game, so.
I've never heard of it. I feel like I have a pretty good library of games in my head that I know about, so.
I mean, it's not as obscure as Heianko Alien, but, yeah, that's, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about I think to wrap things up here, the most contemporary release.
Yeah. I've been playing something. I too, like Connor, was getting tired of violence in video games, so I decided to play God of War.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and much like me, he wanted to play a dad in a video game, so that's why I was playing Yakuza 6.
Guys, God of War. I'm sure you've seen like the praise around this game since it came out.
Yeah,
like, or at least like in passing. Yeah. It's pretty much well deserved. Like how universally people are loving this game. It's incredible.
I will wait a couple years because there always seems to be a turnaround on those opinions in a couple years on God of War games.
Yeah, this one feels different.
I've heard that before too. I've heard that about Ascension, and that one was, I think, maybe 3 months before people were like, that wasn't actually very good.
Ascension wasn't good to begin with. It didn't review that well. 3 reviewed very well, and I think 3 is still a good game. But and then 1 has a good story. I think people forget that the first one actually has a pretty good story to it. They just think about it how 2 and 3 are just like rampage Kratos mode. Anyway, the new one, it's all done in one shot, a la Birdman, the entire game, which is really cool. How it's pretty much mostly behind Kratos. It pulls away every now and then to different perspectives, but it's really up close and personal most of the time with what's going on, which makes the set piece moments in the game oh my god, like the second boss fight in the game, which is this man wanders up to you and you just get into this all out brawl, and are you
fighting like a lost man?
He's just called the stranger. He knocks on your door and he's like because Kratos this is Kratos from the first set. This is the same Kratos that's gone through the original set of games. He's just older. He has moved to Norse mythology. Midgard is specifically where he's at, and he just wants a quiet life away from the shit that he dealt with in his past life. He settled down. He had a wife and a kid, and the game opens with you. Your wife has died, and you are burning your ashes. Yeah, and you're with. And her last wish was that you take her ashes to the top of the highest peak in the realms, and spread them across there. And the first gameplay you do is you go with your son on a hunt to see if you think he's ready to go on this journey with you, and that's like the tutorial basically with the game. And the son is your ranged weapon. You can tell when to fire his bow. It's great. Like, and I'm gonna but the connection between Kratos and Atreus is fantastic. It really is. It's super well written. It's layered. It's full of just tiny moments that make it even better. But before I get to like the story stuff, just the gameplay wise, the single smartest decision this game made, just gameplay wise, is they give you the Leviathan axe, and you can Thor that shit right back to your hand whenever you want to. You throw it.
That's so good.
And it has like every time. The sound design of this game is also fucking top notch because every time you pull it back, and it's just a button press, it's triangle whenever you throw it. Triangle brings it back whenever you want it, and you fist fight until you get it back. And it makes this awesome just thunk sound when you catch it. It makes it feel super weighty, and you just like crack some dude in the head with it when it comes back to your hand, or you miss, or you throw it past someone and you miss, and like they yell at you, and then you see it slow. You hit triangle, and you see it slowly coming back to hit them in the back of the head, which is just oh my god,
it's magical.
It's just and it's great because you controlled that moment. It's not like a boomerang thing. It's like you tell it when to come back and do that. So if you time it right, and just like little details, like if you throw it across a lake and you pull it back, you can see it like the water splashing as it comes like flying back across the water towards what's in front of you. Like seriously, like that one decision to make you feel like Thor is, oh my god, it feels so good. And it just like, and it flows as soon as you get like the flow to it, man, you just crack in between enemies. And this game is not a character action game. It is action RPG through and through. Yeah. There are combos, but it's not the same. It's not the same kind of thing. It's more timing based and like 2 button press things to do different stuff. You have a shield, your axe, and your son has the bow. So that's your general options. And then the glory, like this, essentially has glory kills from a la Doom. They were in the first God of War, but these are a little less graphic than those. They're still very violent, but there's not as much. There's no really blood because you're killing mostly like zombies and stuff. But and they're also a little faster. I think they're a little too, not quite as fast as I would want them to be, because they're cool the first time, but some of them take a little longer than I'd want them to be. That's why I liked in Doom when you can get the rune that makes you do glory kills super fast. So you're just ripping through dudes like a chainsaw, and then with your chainsaw. Anyway.
Like a chainsaw, yeah. And also
you have a chainsaw.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you go with Atreus and you fight a mid boss, and he after you beat the boss, he has this moment where he's like just like stabbing the thing, saying we got you. He's like super angry, and Kratos sees this. And it's like the super small moment, because if you play the other games, if you have any idea about Kratos, you know he's like his anger is like his one character trait in the other games, essentially. Right. Okay. But it's him, and he tells his son after that he's not ready, because and that just immediately tells you that Kratos, also he definitely cares about his son. Like it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh he hates his kid, but he's gonna love him by the end of this. Like he loves his son, and that's clear from the get-go.
Yeah, that's good.
He just expresses it different. He's a Spartan, so it's expressed in a very different way than how Vikings would express it, which is kind of like the family dynamic there. So he just, he's not good at expressing himself, which makes sense. Yeah. But you can tell that he wants his son. Throughout the game, he's preparing his son for life without him, basically, and without saying that. And also he wants him to be a better person than he ever was, and that's all expressed without ever like being specifically said. And I fucking love that.
Okay, now real quick. So this is the same Kratos. Isn't he the god of war? So isn't he technically immortal?
He's still God, but he went there, and his family does not, or his son at least. I don't know if his wife. It's not clear yet if his wife knew. But his son does not know he's a god, and so his son does not know he's a demigod.
Okay.
And when the stranger that I was mentioning earlier comes up, and he's like, and he gets into a fight with Kratos, and it's an all-out brawl. It's cinematic as fuck. Also, the environments are pretty destructible, so you're like punching. And Kratos, and they really like make Kratos feel like he hits like a god, and you just punch this dude, and he flies through trees that smash behind him and stuff. It's great. It's but like, and then you find out that he came here without the gods of this realm knowing, like Odin and Thor, and gods of Norse mythology, which I'm not super versed in. I've seen the Thor movies, and I've played like Hellblade, so I don't know much Norse mythology, which is kind of interesting. I get to learn a lot while I'm playing this. And they don't, the gods are not happy with a god from another realm being here, and so that's also kind of like the background story, that you've not actually had a lot of interaction with any of the gods. And I'm like 10, 12 hours into the game. So I think I might be at the halfway point, or pretty close to it at least. So yeah, like the main story is good, is interesting. It's very simple. You know, they want to get these ashes, and they want to spread his wife's ashes. But the real crux of the game is just Kratos' relationship with his son, and it really is that well. It really is written incredibly well, and I think it's going to age well too, better than the other games will. But and also because as an action RPG, I think it will age better too. There is a loot system in the game. The loot looks different when you put it on, which I always appreciate in games. I hate when you put stuff on characters and it doesn't change their appearance.
Yeah, me too.
This definitely does that. You can get there's upgrade trees. There's slots for your weapons to add stuff. There's all that jazz. And the upgrade tree is really satisfying. I feel like I've gotten my combat prowess has gotten better as the game goes on, which is always a good sign.
That was my next question. Yeah, I was just about to ask actually, what's the skill tree like? Is it good? Is it kind of?
Yeah, like it just makes you more aggressive, and at least mine, I lean more. It puts me more on the offensive, which is how I like to play. And you can base it around, maybe you like to throw your axe a lot. You can base it around that. You can base it around using Atreus with range combat a lot. You can base it around the shield. You have Spartan Rage still in this game, which is Kratos just puts the axe down and just beats people to death with his fists when he does that. Which is very satisfying. But yeah, like I feel like the combat has just gotten more fun as I've gone on, and as I'm more capable of taking on large groups, and it's that flow that I love, and it flows very well. It all centers around the fact that you control your axe completely at all times. Because goddamn, I cannot express how satisfying throwing the axe is. It's really good. The game looks fantastic. I don't really need to say that. I feel like it's like, and little details there. Like I had a fight towards the end of me playing today before I got on here. In like a big, like on a snowside cliff, and rolling around and fighting a bunch of dudes. Like afterward, you can just see like the area of snow that I was fighting in is all packed down. Like in a real, like the snow moves very naturally, which is crazy. It looked exactly how you'd think it would look after a battle, save for like being covered in blood. But although Kratos,
how do they handle the fact that he's like, Kratos basically, and he's this indestructible thing, but he's then gonna go and upgrade all his skills and stuff? Like, do they say he's like old and rusty, or what's the the way like in the sequels there's always like the why are you back to level 1 kind of a thing?
Because the axe was gifted. Also, the axe was gifted to him by his wife before she died, so he just got it. So yeah, I guess that's the thing. You meet a pair of dwarf brothers. They are your upgrade guys, and they're great. They're like, one's the super crass one, and he's like, the first time you meet him, he's like, "Why don't you come upgrade your shit over here, you son of a bitch?" It's like that's the first time he talks to you. And,
I like that.
Yeah, it's like the swearing he does actually. It makes me laugh every time. It doesn't feel super forced because he says it so naturally that it sounds funny.
Yeah.
Or like, "Hey fucker, come over here and check out what I got for you." And then the other dude is like a super neat freak, and he every time like Kratos tries to give him some new shit, he's like, "Yeah, just put it on the table. I don't want to touch it. The handle's that's really gross, man. I've seen what you did with that." And Kratos is, his gruff way. He doesn't usually, he tries to come across like he only uses them for help, but he's helped them a few times. There is a depth to Kratos that you never thought would be there, and it feels earned. I think none of it feels very forced. It still feels like Kratos. It just feels like a 3-dimensional Kratos, other than the original one.
That's nice.
It's also an open world game. There are side quests you can go on.
Love that.
It's a little more.
Not you,
it's
Connor.
it's a little more Dark Souls open world in that it's a little more hubby, but there are. It's definitely got it's got Metroid reasons to backtrack. Getting new abilities to unlock other areas, to get more upgrades, and yeah, I'm just having a fucking great time with this game. And it still does It still does like those set pieces, like I said, super well that you're looking for in God of War. But like having it pulled in just changes everything. And it literally is a one-shot game. Like there are no loading screens or anything. It's all from one camera's perspective the entire time, which is.
I can't get my head around that.
It's crazy. It's like, and yeah, it's literally. I'm sure you've seen Birdman, right?
Yeah, I love Birdman.
It's basically that, like following Michael Keaton around the entire time.
Uh-huh.
It's basically just following Kratos around the entire time. It's like that's the game, and every cutscene, and there's and everything's in game in engine, so in game, so everything transitions to cutscenes really naturally and out in and out very naturally. Sometimes I have to give it button prompts just to make sure you can actually play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah, man. It's the little stuff though in the story. I can't get enough of that. There's a lot of little moments I don't want to ruin. They might not do the same for people, but I've really enjoyed all of them. I love how patient he is with his son, because his son asks questions all the time. He's always talking. He's like the exact opposite of Kratos in a lot of ways, and he's like super patient with him all the time. He definitely shuts him down every now and then too when he's getting tired of it. But he doesn't. He's never. I don't think he's ever a bad parent whatsoever. He's just a parent. He's trying to learn. He's trying to learn how to be a parent, and now he's trying to learn how to be a single parent.
I think it's for me, it's encouraging that that's one of the things that you're focusing on, because I've heard, every time a God of War, much like Jason was saying, every time a God of War game has come out, I've heard all of the stuff about how it's like the greatest thing ever or whatever. But that's a new thing for that you're talking about, the quiet moments and the
quiet moments in a God of War game.
Yeah, that's encouraging to me. That makes me want to play it a lot more.
Yeah,
I'm in. I'm sold.
Yeah, like I know it's people like games get praise all the time. I mean, Breath of the Wild got this last year, even more so. But I think this is incredibly well deserving. I think it's easily going to go down as best in the series from what I've played so far. It's a crazy reinvention and a well-deserved one. It needed, because another one of those wouldn't have been as interesting. Just goddamn, it's a hell of a thing. I think that's all I want to talk about. I'm trying to think of any other mechanics-wise that's worth mentioning. I don't think so.
You know what? Honestly, I'm going to be impressed the day the a video game doesn't have a understanding father who doesn't ever get tired of his kids' questions, because the reality of that is no. There's not a single parent that
he definitely does. He just doesn't. No, he does.
No, I don't care why the sky is blue. No, I don't care what your favorite color is, but I know you're going to tell me anyway, sweetie.
No, it's exactly like that.
No, keep going. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking?
Yeah, no, it's exactly like that. What you just said. He does that all the time. But Kratos is patient with him, and he shuts him down. Like when he asks questions, he's like, so what do you think about this? Like, I don't know. That's all he said. He's like, I don't know. I can't tell you. How long is it going to take? I don't know. It's going to take. And then the little moments when he's like, when they're like exploring places, and he's like, and his son mentions something, and he's like, so what is this? What do you think this means? And it's just like he's trying to help him be able to figure out things on his own. He's like, just to prepare him for things. But yeah, the son talks constantly, and it feel like Kratos' responses feel natural. It doesn't it's hard to explain it. You just have to experience it. But the writing is something else.
Well, I'm sold. Can I ask you guys a question about an unrelated game, but we'll keep it short. Just you were talking, or we were just on the subject of like games that get sort of universally praised, and like I've had the experience of playing something that was universally praised and not liking it.
Mm-hmm.
And most recently, that happened to me with. I was so looking forward to Uncharted 4: Thief's End. And I really enjoyed the first like couple of hours. And then I grew to hate that game. And I was just wondering what you guys made of it. Did you like it?
Did you finish it?
I didn't play it.
I did finish it, yeah.
And don't play Lost Legacy then.
I liked 4. I liked the second half way more than the first half.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Connor, I don't know what it was about the vocal inflection there. The way you just said that, I like that very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Connor does voiceover work for books if you're interested.
Yes, I do.
The Madagascar scene with the E3 set piece they did with the car chase, and then him getting dragged by the trailer or whatever, I forget. It's the big chase in Madagascar. You go through the entire city. That's where it picked up for me. The first half is I thought was pretty slow and just not as interesting, but I liked 4. I thought it was a very good. I thought it was the second best one after 2 that I've played. But yeah, I mean, Yakuza gets universal praise, and I don't think it's as great as people do, but it's still very. I do see the good things in it, and I think people should definitely try it. Yeah, nothing's for everyone. It's not like
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, like God of War, it's not gonna be for everyone. I think everyone should try it, give it a shot. But there's plenty of people who are gonna be like, I don't get it.
I think I think Uncharted and I had the same relationship I had with Assassin's Creed games, where I played 2 of them to completion. Actually, well, no, I played 3 of them to completion with Assassin's Creed, but there's we'll say ratio-wise maybe about the same. And then the third one, or I guess in Assassin's Creed came the 4th one, which is the third in the 2 trilogy. God,
I'm already lost. Go on.
There's entirely too many of these fucking things. Anyway,
there's 18. There's 18 Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
There's only 16. Don't sensationalize things. Anyway, Jason.
I don't think 18 is too far off the mark. Wait till next year. So
it's
Well,
I just read a ranking of the from 18th to 1st, the worst to best.
Oh, okay.
Assassin's Creed games, but I think they were counting the
handheld games, stuff like that.
Well, there was 3 of those, I think. So
there's more. And there's 3
Assassin's Creed Tales ones or whatever.
There's 3 Chronicles games.
Chronicles,
there are more handheld games than that.
Well, I don't think Chronicles is technically a handheld game.
I think you can play it on handheld. I think it started out.
But I'm talking like
it was like an Xbox Live type thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm talking like the I think the 2 DS games and then the PSP one.
Bloodlines and Liberation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, we're in the weeds.
Yeah.
Jason,
anyway.
Go on.
Yeah. I just my interest just tapered off. Like I got just a few hours into 3, and I kind of just lost the feel for it. And I have 4 sitting on my shelf because I got it really cheap, and then I just haven't gotten around to playing it. And then Lost Legacy, I tried it. I got a free rental from Redbox after renting a movie, and I just was not feeling it. Like, just did not do anything for me.
Yeah. There was a thing that Uncharted 4 did that always like really grinds my gears, where so I love 2. 2 is the best in the series. I think it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But I really enjoyed 3, and one of the things I liked about 3 was they went into more detail with the brawling.
Sure.
And you had like counters, and you had like different kind of moves and stuff, and that was really nice. But then in 4, it's really weird because by the time you get to Uncharted 4, if you've played Nathan Drake in the style that I personally played him, he's killed 800 people with his bare hands. And then in Uncharted 4, he meets someone who knows how to fight. And what happens is he and his brother just spend all their time trying to beat up a woman together, and they can't do it. And it's awful. I don't want to see 2 heroes try and beat up a woman ever. But I also don't want the main character to suddenly just not be able to do all the stuff that he was able to do. And
Connor,
they took away
equality,
all the
man.
mechanics.
Come on. She's got to take her lumps too.
Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I don't mean. I don't mean the fact that he can't beat her up bothers me. I mean the fact that it's now presented that he doesn't really know how to fight.
Yeah.
Like that's weird. And like in all of the fights, you don't really have the same options anymore. Like you know, in all the Uncharted games, you could kind of run up to a bad dude, and the fact that you weren't using a gun wasn't really that big a deal because Nathan Drake's such a badass. And then in 4, that's not the case at all, and it was really it was really weird. But then tonally, I was really uncomfortable when it was like a 2-on-1 fight where he and his brother are trying to beat up someone. That made me very uncomfortable. I didn't like that.
You didn't like that. You didn't like that they were working together. Yeah.
I feel like you've just turned 2 men beating up a woman into but what, you don't like teamwork? Like, that's
high five, bro. We beat up the broad.
A very specific interpretation there.
I'm just kidding. It's an awful thing, but doesn't she kick their ass though?
That's you see. That's what I mean. Like,
she beats the shit out of them, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They deserve
if they tag team or if they double teamed her and they just like unrelentingly beat the shit out of her without it, I could see being uncomfortable about it, but it's like she's clearly more than holding her own.
Yeah, they needed to do that.
Yeah.
And she still beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So I didn't look at it that way,
Yeah, no, I dig that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But no. Uncharted 4.
Connor, you may have spent a little too much time in New Mexico. Yeah, no, that's a New Mexico thing.
I wish I'd spent more time in New Mexico. I was just saying to my girlfriend.
No. If you like New Mexico, then you spent just enough time here.
I spent the exact right amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, anyway, I think that about wraps it up, guys. I think we're good. It's around an hour 15 here, basically. So after I put in something, so. All right, well, I think that'll wrap it up. We had a bunch of contemporary releases, some semi-contemporary, and then a 15-year-old Game Boy Advance game in here. So I think we hit all the spots we needed to hit here this week. So
yeah, killing it.
Yeah, we nailed this one. So all right, I won't bother you too much with the social media stuff. You can just go to gamesjunk.net and all the stuff is on there. You can follow me at Jason Ariola. You can follow John at JohnLucero777. Connor, you've got 2 Twitters to take care of, so I'll let you handle both of those.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm CONORMAHOD. Just go to Connor Mode. You can find me there, and everything else will follow from that.
Yeah, your voiceover thing is on your actual profile there too, right? Your regular Twitter handle, right?
Yeah. I link to the other one because I try not to spam too much work-related stuff in the Twitter account that I'm supposed to be just using to say stupid jokes about movies and video games.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
So I try and keep it as disciplined as possible.
We do a very good job of it. I mean, honestly, with the way your voice sounds, you should be plugging that thing constantly, frankly. So.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, I'm gonna take your advice, and we're gonna do just that. So, Connor, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk at you guys next time. I think I should.
Good night.
Hold in time for the next podcast for Sunday, but we'll see. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys next time.